We're thrilled to have Mike Sullivan, the two-time Stanley Cup winning head coach of the Penguins, join us now. And Mike, I'll start there because this is crunch time. You're up 3-0 in the third period. The Caps come back. They rally to tie it. We saw Gino scored that goal in the last couple of minutes to win it for you guys. I mean, it's such a swing of emotion on the bench. What's it like for the fans watching? You're an experienced coach. You played in the league. It's still got to be like you're like just a nervous wreck watching that happen.
Well, I just think it's part of the modern game. It just seems that way. You know, there's more goal leads that end up you end up on the reverse side of it, depending on on where it happens in the game. And I'm not sure there's a safe lead in today's game. It's just we've been in a fair amount of them this year, as you guys know. Most recently, the other night against Washington. It's crazy at how it happened. I felt like we were in complete control of the game. You know, we score a goal, a power play goal in the first shift of the third period to go up 3-0. And, it's amazing how momentum swings. You know, Chris Letang gets a little unfortunate bounce, bobbles a puck, and they end up scoring a goal on the turnover, and then Ovechkin scores on the power play goal, and then it's a hockey game, and that's all it takes. So there's lots of momentum swings. There's lots of I think leads that change throughout the course of the year. Certainly, we've been like I said to you guys, we've been in a fair amount of them ourselves. But you watch around the league, and it seems like it's happening to more teams than us.
You know, Coach, when we evaluate as analysts the Pittsburgh Penguins in your roster, the first box we check, or among the first boxes, is experience. You guys have been there together as a group. You kind of got the band back together, Letang, Malkin, Crosby, etc. From a coach's point of view, with that kind of experience and especially the success that this group has had in the not that distant past, I have to believe that part of the challenge for you is there comes these moments when you don't really have to coach. You just kind of step back. Do those moments come very frequently? And what does that look like for you in your role?
Well, I think, when you have a veteran team like ours, you certainly coach this group differently than you would if you have a younger group. And as you said, Stu, we have a ton of experience on our roster. There's a lot of Stanley Cup rings in that room, and so these guys have been to the top of the mountain, so to speak, and understand what it takes. They've also had their fair share of disappointments over the years, and it's just hard to win in this league. And I agree with you. I would like to believe that that experience and having the ability to look back on those experiences is something that we could use to our advantage. When you get in those high stakes emotional environments, I think these are all experiences that our players can lean on to try to navigate through those challenging times. And so, as a coach, sometimes we do try to step back and give the opportunity of our veteran guys to take the room, so to speak, and take the lead just from a leadership standpoint in some of those critical moments. The other night being one of them. So without a doubt, as a coach, I think you've got to coach this group a little bit differently than we had with some of the younger teams that we've had in the past. But we'd like to believe that the experience that we have is certainly something that we can lean on moving forward.
Coach, one of the guys, obviously, this is an understatement, that has the experience of Sidney Crosby, having another statistically great year, but also when you talk to people around the team, he's had an emotionally great year as a leader, et cetera. What has this year been underappreciated, perhaps, by people outside of your locker room for what he's been able to do both on and off the ice? And how have you seen him grow even more so, despite the fact he's in his mid-30s now? How have you seen him continue to grow?
Well, his year has probably flown under the radar, so to speak. It certainly hasn't inside of our locker room. I think all of us are well aware of the year he's had for us. We just rely on him in so many situations on both sides of the puck and in the locker room with his leadership. He helps this Penguins team win in so many ways, and in a lot of ways he's the standard, right? That he's the guy that we look to. And when you talk about what it means to be a Pittsburgh Penguin, he just personifies all of the attributes that we're looking for, both on the ice, but also just how he carries himself off the ice. He's just a true professional. And, I've seen him grow year to year. I think he just becomes a wiser version of himself. And I also think, I don't think he takes anything for granted anymore. I think he truly appreciates the opportunities that we have in front of us. And he also understands that there are less of them moving forward. So because of that, I think he has more of an appreciation for the team that we have, the opportunities that we have. And just having that perspective, I think, motivates him even more, if that's even possible. But he's just a wiser version of himself, and I think that's how he's grown. He still shows an insatiable appetite to be the best. His work ethic is off the charts. I just marvel at the time that he puts in and all the subtleties of his game. And a lot of times it's away from the cameras. It's him and Ty Hennis, our skills coach, on the ice 15 minutes before the practice starts, working on some aspect of his game. And that for me is how I've gained such an appreciation for what he is and what he represents. And I also think it's quite honestly why it's not an accident that he's been able to sustain such an elite level of play, because he's willing to put the work in.
Mike, in all businesses, the people that are running the show have to make hard decisions. Now, in pro sports, it gets scrutinized, 6 ways to Sunday. I mean, we do it here. You see it all the time. I mean, that's just part of the job. I want to ask you, about hard decisions, because, this year you have Jeff Carter as a veteran player. He's had some ups and downs this year. They had a point, I guess it was a couple weeks ago, where you were limiting his ice time, but then he responded and he gave you a couple of goals in an important game. What's it like managing difficult situations with players, particularly guys, someone like Jeff, who's been around a long time, who's had a terrific career? What are those decisions, and what is that communication like with the players?
Well, I just try to be pretty straightforward with our guys. We try to see things for what they are. We try to be honest with them, also be respectful with all of our players, and those types of conversations, whether they're difficult conversations or whether they're positive conversations. We try to just be honest with our guys and help them navigate through the process. And it's my job as the head coach, and I tell our players this all the time, to make difficult decisions that put our team in the best possible position to win games, and that's my responsibility. And the vocabulary that I use a lot with our guys is, we don't always expect them to agree with the decisions that we make, but our hope is that they'll respect the decisions that we make. And I try to do my best in communicating with our players on why we make the decisions. And if we can explain the whys, then at least they have an understanding of how and why the decisions were made. So it's just part of the job as being a head coach, and ultimately it's our responsibility as head coaches to make the decisions that put the hockey team in the best possible position to have success. And that's what I try to do each and every day.
Mike, it impresses me even to this day. I saw your group go through a spate of injuries, maybe going back a couple of years, and I remember you were emphasizing, a simplified game, because these were injuries to really some top-end guys. But the emphasis was on just the simple details and playing a more connected brand of hockey. And the improvement to your win-loss record during that stretch in time was immediately noticeable, and obviously it grew out of that attention to detail, that getting back to simple hockey. My point in asking you that is that something you draw from even today? I would think not so much the ups, maybe more so the downs from time to time, because every club goes, with the exception of the Boston Bruins, goes through a valley or two. Is that something you're drawing on even today?
For sure we are. We're a little bit banged up on our blue line, as you guys know, and we've talked a lot about that as of late with with the injuries that we've had on our blue line. But I wish I could sell the guys on that simplicity when we've got a full complement of players, because I do think that's when we're at our very best, is when we do play a simplified version of ourselves. But as you guys know, we have some we have some talented guys on our team, and these guys, they're wired to create offense. They're wired to make plays, and certainly as a coaching staff, our philosophy has been we don't want to take the sticks out of their hands. We certainly want to give them the latitude to act on their instincts, but we need to do it the right way also, and that I think is where the coaching staff comes into play, is trying to draw those lines and trying to create those parameters so that it sets our team up for success, regardless of who's in our lineup. But without a doubt, when you go through an injury bout, or you're trying to endure a challenging time in your schedule, whether your team isn't playing as well, I've always been a firm believer that simplifying the game is part of the solution. It has to be part of the solution moving forward and trying to find the favorable results. And I think there's a lesson learned in that. And when we're at our very best, as I just said to you guys, even when we're playing well and we have a full complement of our players, I still believe our team's at its very best when we play a simplified game. And I think when we do that, we stack the deck in our favor. We don't offer or afford our opponents easy offense, so to speak, because we make a high risk play at the wrong time. And as you know, there's a fine line between winning and losing at this time of year, and we've got to make sure we're locked in for the whole 60 minutes.
Mike, we all know that hockey, full team game. That's why we love it so much. The unique position of goaltender, well, that's also a unique part of the game of hockey. Are you at the point right now where it's just, I don't want to say winning you're in, or maybe it is winner you're in? How are you approaching it the last couple of weeks of the season, Coach?
Well, without a doubt, I think the goaltending position arguably might be the most influential position in all of sports. And so it's an important aspect of anyone's game. We believe we have two real capable guys. Case has played real solid hockey for us as of late, when Tristan's been going through some of his challenges from an injury standpoint. And when Tristan's at his best, we believe he's one of the best in the league. And we're trying to manage both of these guys to put them in positions to have success, but also give our team the best opportunity to have success. And so there's a lot that goes into it, as you guys know, whether it's the health of our players and the preparedness of our players on whether or not they get sufficient practice time and things of that nature that put them in positions to be successful when the puck drops for game time. So, but what we do find comfort in is that we believe we've got two quality guys. We've got two very capable guys that can make the timely saves for us, that are going to give us a chance to win each and every night. And then it's up to me and our coaching staff to try to make the best decisions, for the hockey team, so we put the right guy in at the right time. That's going to help us win.
Mike, one more for me. I just want to ask you, you've been at this for a while. You've had a lot of successes. I mentioned at the top, you've won 2 Stanley Cups in Pittsburgh. You've been an assistant coach. You were a head coach in Boston earlier in your career. Looking back, what kind of advice would you give a younger Mike Sullivan just starting out into coaching that you've obviously learned with the experience that you've had over these many years?
Oh, it's a great question, EJ. I think I would probably tell the younger version of myself that sometimes less is more. And I think as a young coach, and I was no different than any other coach for that matter. I believe we all go through a certain evolution. I think it's the evolution of coaching. When you're a young coach, you want to dot every I, you want to cross every T, you want to make sure they're prepared with all the information that they need to have before the puck drops. And sometimes, if we're not careful, we can overload our players and our team with information. And I think the secret is trying to find the sweet spot and preparing your group so that they understand what they're up against, preparing your team so that we're predictable for one another, but yet unpredictable for our opponents. But sometimes you just have to you have to get out of the way, and you have to allow these guys to act on their instincts, and you got to give them the latitude, and you got to show the belief in them that you trust them when they act on their instincts, and that would probably be my biggest piece of advice to a young Mike Sullivan when he was starting out coaching is maybe take your foot off the gas a little bit and offer these players a little bit of latitude.
Yeah, experience can be a great teacher, and certainly you've had a fantastic career behind the bench, coaching the Pittsburgh Penguins. 9 games remaining on the schedule. You got the Red Wings tomorrow night in Detroit. Thanks so much for the time, Mike. We really appreciate it. The fans love hearing from you guys, so thanks and good luck moving forward.
Sure, it's my pleasure, EJ. Nice talking with you guys.